It's time to rumble.
All right, combats are set. DMIL on the left, OSW on the right. Both players starting with the standard 6-3. But OSW's going to take their T-spins a little bit earlier.
And both players are just starting like with really consistent upstack. None of them messing up one bit yet.
DMIL was getting into very dangerous territory there. I think literally like half a second later, and that would have just killed. But they are very
Yeah,
confident in their ability to do things. And maybe I'm speaking a little bit too soon because that misdrop immediately follows.
and they're forced to activate zone here. Also, we will try to use that to their
Oh
advantage.
no.
Oh,
And
the
OSW just
OSW
casually has a King Crimson over there.
that's actually insane for start for OSW.
It's round one. You couldn't have already caught the crab. Come on.
When I say OSW will literally go for anything imaginable. Okay. And you're right on that one.
An interesting thing here is that most of the times you start with 6-3 and TEC just because you get a lot of Tetrises, you get a lot of good pacing, because the damage doesn't really matter. All you're doing is accelerating the pace of the game by sending more T-spins. But OSW doesn't care. They just like to get the efficiency whenever they possibly can, even in the initial phase 1 scenario.
Yeah, I mean that's what drives the confidence going.
And DMIL is going to find the out zone, but that's just a lot of clean for OSW to tank. And that's an unfortunate misdrop for OSW, but they do have many ways out of here.
Yeah, both. I mean, OSW is not entirely in danger yet, but they do have to deal with the oncoming pressure from DMIL now.
And OSW setting up a glorious STSD there. And we are getting close to phase 3 transition territory. OSW is leading on the zone charge. But DMIL not too far behind, also getting a max of their own. Now, OSW with the speed advantage might also favor the option of taking a zoneless transition, but DMIL is not going to allow that to happen. They're going to make sure they get max time right before they transition.
But that misdrop from DMIL is gonna put a little bit of a damper on their stack. Not able to
I feel like the
continue on
misdrop
the
is the
zone.
least of their concerns, considering how much pre-pressure OSW had. You saw like the amount of damage that they were tanking was negligible. They just completely face tanked that zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, by the end of it, we are still in an even scenario. Email receiving a 4 high well in phase 3 is insane, but unfortunately, it's just not enough to keep up with OSW's pressure.
Yeah, it's just OSW. So OSW had a really great stack going. I mean, it's gonna be hard for DMill to try to break OSW's back to back going.
Well said. That is the burden of being the lower speed player, but DMill definitely would have ways around here.
Yeah, I mean, DMill has been around, like I said before, and they do have the knowledge of versus Tetris, and ultimately TEC, as they also been playing this game a lot as well. So if anyone could break OSW's chain, it's probably going to be DMill.
Certainly not out of the realm of possibility. We are going to see DML start the zone first, but OSW has quite the power stack, which means they're going to have a lot of pre-pressure. You already see how much DML's like receiving queue is sent. So if OSW gets max lines here, this could be a very dangerous scenario for DML. That's
And
exactly what happened.
OSW just finding that ulti right there, just very clean skins for that ultimatrix to happen. It's gonna put a little bit of a challenge on Dino, but I mean, Dino's okay for the time being. You're just gonna have to deal with OSW's upstacking right now, as it looks really strong.
Yeah, very good of DMill to identify that 4 wide was the play there. 4 wide is amazing because it's able to stall out most of your placements while you're canceling lines, especially if you're able to do it in the zone just to make sure you don't get any clear delay. That is going to cancel most of what OSW was sending. And now both players are in a scenario where they have max zone, but OSW just has a better board state.
And it looks like D-Mill is having to force to zone here. And OSW is looking to put this game away. D-Mill's gonna have to try something faster to get out of here.
And OSW had like a mini 2 wide in the end of that zone there. And DML unfortunately only able to cancel 6, but they did have enough overcharge for another quarter, but they weren't able to identify that in time. I'm not sure that would have mattered, but it would have been nice to try. And OSW is going to take their third round.
Yeah, I mean, knowing OSW also too wide is also kind of scary because it just puts like a little bit more damage to the zone. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, two wide is really significant when it comes to combos, not just zone but also in general.
Or so whenever you see a 2 wide, especially on OSW side, you see the 2 wide used for just like straight up speed in your zone. Because everything's gonna get dropped down in the center, and OSW is already somebody who's very well versed in their finesse. And unfortunately, that is
Definitely.
going to be a top out from D-Mill in phase 1, which is giving OSW match point on sweet pace. You're gonna see 6-3s from both players once again. And D-Mill's gonna take their T-spin earlier with the Z prop. Both players floating at relatively similar times. OSW is going to send their T-spins in tandem and set up yet another float. But both players are remaining in their tried and true 6-3.
You know, hanging that, hitting that chunk of garbage. They're still continuing their up stack here. They're trying to look for a comfortable position to enter the zone.
Yeah, this is definitely a situation where neither player wants a zone. OSW knows that they are just better outside of the zone with the superior speed. However, D-Mill is just
Yeah,
trying to look for that absolutely perfect spot to get that unexpected attack onto OSW.
and
And that's how we
OSW
get
setting
scenarios
up
like
that
this.
four wide. It's gonna let it rip here. It's gonna probably look deadly.
And
Right
OSW is going to
eye.
send 65 and 18 there. Very serious
Is,
situation to be in if you're D-Mill. But they're able to
yeah.
cancel it pretty well.
I mean, regardless, OSW zone was really strong. I mean, it wasn't immediate challenge for D-Mill. It was only a little bit of a chunk, but I mean, forward, like we discussed about, forward is really really useful for zone to be able to put some damage on their board. D-Mill is at the top, able to cancel most of the garbage here. OSW now is the one in trouble. We'll see what DMILLION does here. And OSW drops around. DMILL just had a good advantage of their stat. Also with a bit of an ST stack. DMILLION having to skim this out. They're in good position to DMILL will activate zone here. OSW is still looking to get in good position to zone here. But as we talked about it, OSW I don't think not ready to zone yet. They're really good at even without utilizing the zone. They're still perfectly fine. Just going for freestyle. Right, Demon will have to activate zone here though, as OSW are already in prime position. Have- Gonna have to pressure OSW just a little bit. That will cost them their though, as OSW will now enter the zone here. That was an awkward step for Demo. That was not the position you want to be in. As OSW had exit out the zone with that zone attack that just ended the game.